Officials nationwide continue pushing for stricter immigration laws as the crisis at the border continues. Hello and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Frank Malloy.
And I'm Lori Johnson. Georgia's Attorney General Chris Carr says he's leading 25 attorneys general to push the U.S. Senate to pass the Laken-Riley Act. It's centered around nursing student Laken Riley's alleged killer, undocumented immigrant Jose Ibarra. The bill aims to toughen penalties on individuals accused of criminal activities. It would require the Secretary of Homeland Security to take undocumented immigrants charged with theft into custody. This comes after Jose was cited but not arrested for shoplifting in December of last year. The bill passed the House last week. In a letter to the Senate, the AG blames President Biden for the U.S. border crisis. It says in part, quote, "It's clear President Biden's repeated actions of ignoring the rule of law and abandoning successful policies have created a border crisis of historic proportions." Meanwhile, immigration advocates in Georgia pushing for lawmakers to drop two pending bills. Today, people protested them outside of the Capitol, saying they will hurt immigrants in Georgia.
Jose's brother, meanwhile, has been in Macon. Today, a federal grand jury indicted Diego Ibarra for having a fake green card. Diego Ibarra appeared in a federal courtroom in Macon last week to hear his charge.
Prosecutors argue Diego Ibarra knew he had a fake green card and gave it to law enforcement when they stopped him while looking for his brother Jose. Last week, U.S. Magistrate Judge Charles Weigel decided not to grant him bond. According to court documents presented last week, Diego crossed the border illegally last year. He told law enforcement he was afraid to go back to Venezuela.
So he was allowed into the U.S. while a judge decided if he can stay through a process called asylum. Anthony Montalto spoke with a Mercer law professor to find out how it works.
We don't know too much right now about how Jose Ibarra was in the United States because he hasn't really gone to court yet. But his brother Diego has been to court a few times right here at the federal courthouse in Macon. And that gives us a clearer picture as to why he was allowed to be here. And it's because he applied for asylum.
Asylum is something that's been around since the middle of the last century. In the wake of World War II.
Professor Scott Titshaw at Mercer's Law School says asylum became an international practice after the war. There's a pretty strict definition.
Either past persecution or a well-founded fear of future persecution.
And applicants must meet at least one of 5 different criteria.
For, say, more than a year, then you'll not be able to apply for asylum unless you can show that there's some extraordinary reason.
Titshaw says there are several reasons someone might not get asylum, but an applicant could lose the right to it if they entered illegally and waited more than a year to make their case. In Macon, Anthony Montalto, 13 WMAZ News.
Based on the testimony in court last week, we don't know for sure whether Diego Ibarra ever got a court date. The Homeland Security agent who testified couldn't recall. Court records show Ibarra was in a program called Alternative to Detention.
He was supposed to wear an ankle monitor and go to New York, but prosecutors say he cut the ankle monitor off and left it in Colorado. Next, Diego Ibarra will enter a plea of either guilty or not guilty.